Hi, it's Judy and Richard for the ideation section of the business boot camp. So what the ideation is there are three key components to any business. There's the marketing, there's the operations, and there's the financial. So the marketing section is all about understanding the value that your product or service has for your customer. And so we call that the value proposition. So it's what is the gain? What is the pain that you're solving for the customer? In other words, why would they buy from you? Why would they want a relationship with you? So that's what we're exploring in this section. And if we can't get clear on why a customer would buy, or even if there is room in the marketplace for you, maybe your idea isn't the right idea in the right time in the right place. So this is a critical step. And the reason why the manual is laid out in the order that it is if you can't get past this section and be really clear on what the customer is expecting from you and how you're going to have a relationship with them, maybe you don't have the right idea. And there's no point in going on to the other operations and financial until you know that. So, Richard, this value proposition, it's kind of a weird terminology. Can you kind of shed some light on what all that's about?
Well, there's two things out there that they're called demographics that are facts about people. It'd be their age, their gender, their income, their various facts about them. And certainly, if you say, "Well, I'm going to be," I need customers who make $250,000 a year, and this, so the demographics are important. But when you go back and look at the inspiration about the why, something called the psychographics come in, which are attitudes and beliefs about the customer. And can you document who are the types of people that you're going to fit with, your product or your service is going to fit with? You know, don't try and sell vegan food at the feedlot. You know, it's just, right? You got to find that fit. So, and the other is regarding the business is to say, why should they deal with you as opposed to the competitors? Maybe they've already got a competitor. They're buying from the competitor. Why should they buy from you? And just say I can do it cheaper is really not a good answer. There's something you got to do better. I met a woman once who wanted to start a business, so she found out who the people were in the offices that bought this service, and she went to an industry luncheon. And so there she's sitting around a table with 7, 8 other people. And she said, I'd like to start a business about this. And they were craving for a competitor. And they sat there and told her all these things she needed to know about her business. So there she found a really creative way to do her market research. And off she went and started her business.
But
And it worked out.
She was also building a connection and a relationship, and they told her what they needed and why they needed it. That's powerful.
Well, and the thing was, they were those cheerleaders who wanted to see her successful. They didn't like the Bain company in the business, that industry. And so going out and asking people, and maybe going and asking some people that you might like to be a customer and say, I'm going to start a business. And I'm thinking about doing it this way, and I'd like to learn about it. And the people that want somebody to come in and provide the service or product, they're going to give you time because they're going to want to be helpful. And if they are an entrepreneur themselves, they'll drop what they got and they'll give it to you because they're happy to deal with entrepreneurs. So not knowing there's lots of doors, just pick up the phone and phone them up. And there's a video, anyways, Steve Jobs put out that he picked up the phone. He was 12 years old. And one of the founders of Hewlett Packard answered the phone on a Saturday at his house. And he did that, gave him what he wanted, and gave him a job at 12 years of age. You can just find this. And we've had it. My wife and I have had it in our business experience, and I've talked to other people. And so they're out there. Maybe that's a little bit more than you wanted, Judy.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about demographics and psychographics. So that applies to when you're selling to the consumer. And the example you gave of the woman talking to people who work in a business. So we've got these two terminologies, business to consumer type of business and business to business type of business. So business to consumer is where you sell to individuals. Business to business is where your business sells to other businesses. Which one of those do you think is the easiest market to play in, or is there an easy one?
I would like to think that the business to business is simpler as opposed to all these fickle consumers that are out there individually and they're all different. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have?
Well, I've built my whole business on selling to businesses, and I totally agree with you. Because when you provide a trusting product or service to a business, the person making the purchasing decision will not put their job at risk by changing to a different supplier. The consumer, as you aptly use the term fickle, they'll wander around and they're driven by price, but not in all areas. And I've asked many entrepreneurs, if there's what products or services do you buy in your life as a consumer that you would never consider changing where you buy it? And three types of businesses always come up. Automotive, because it's an industry of very little trust. A haircut, because we've all had the haircut for health. And medical and personal services where somebody's in your personal space. So those are all based on trust, which when I first started to study that area, I realized that everything I was doing was based on trust. So that's the whole, once you figure out that value proposition and you figure out what they need in order to build trust, we can deliver that to the customer. Thoughts? Now, I don't have all the answers. I just have lots of experience.
Well, I know my wife has a customer that she's had since 2008, and she's cemented in there so solidly, and she's done work for people in that business. They need something, and she's had people say, "Oh, so and so told me that I had to use you because it would be great." It's a catering business. And so those things I think are a little solid. And yes, the consumer, well, there's so many of them and they make small purchases, whereas the businesses tend to make larger purchases. But that doesn't mean the businesses aren't complex. The businesses, the bigger the business that you want, the bigger the potential customer, they see the world differently than small companies. And so you have to learn about that. But that's fine. They're learnable. They'll tell you.
The right questions bring the right answers.
Yeah.
There's a whole segment of the canvas, the channels, the customer segments, the value proposition. That's all about this part, the ideation and the marketing side of it. So proceed with working on that section. And if you've got questions, you know how to find Richard and I. We're happy to coach you and walk through. And of course, we'll see you in the Q&A sessions at the midpoint of the program. Thanks, Richard. It's always a pleasure. See you at the next video.
See you soon.